Hey, it is your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to the Empowered Harmonizers. And we're going to zoom in and focus in on a wonderful viewer question. And that was, how do you handle a powerful narc? What happens when you have dread of interacting with this person? You just feel like you're going to shut down. You feel like you're going to freeze. You can't find the words. They're going to overwhelm you word wise. You can't get a breath in. You can't get a point in. You can't get a comment in. You feel like they're just going to plow right through you because they are so powerful, because they're so used to manipulating people. I mean, they just click their heels and it's done. They're used to everybody falling into line and being subservient to them, but yet you want to address them from a less than subservient place. Your role or your way of interacting with them hitherto might have been one of being servant or servile or service-oriented in nature. In other words, where you had adopted that same energetic reaction. You were the counterforce to their force. You became, humbled. You became all ears for them. You became all eyes for them. You became, in essence, other than who you truly are, you had minimized your own viewpoint, your own voice, in order to adjust or accommodate for theirs. In other words, it's, this room ain't big enough for the both of us. It looks like it's going to have to be the narcissist only. That sort of dread and fear. In other words, where you're not going to get stated what you need to get stated. They're not going to hear what you have to say. Well, then we need to look at eliminating chance and things of this nature. And it really does depend on what culture you are addressing this in. So, for example, if this is at a business or a family or a neighborhood, it's going to be, all adapted to those specific situations. But when it comes to really getting across to the narcissist, sometimes you get to the point where you really are, you're wound up, you have a lot of bound up energy, and you need to expose them. You need to call it for what it is. No more, being barreled over. It's time for them to see that you're taking action. And that is oftentimes the case when it comes to confronting or exposing them and going no contact. It does mean there's a state of action or execution that you are taking, that it's all up to you. In other words, your actions will speak louder than words. So rather than relying on the fear that you're going to have an intelligent discussion with a narcissist, oftentimes that is not going to be the case, because with a narcissist, as well as a psychopath, they definitely will not admit or feel like they have done anything wrong. Everything that they have done is they are entitled to. They have the right to do, the right to hurt others. This is how business is conducted. These are how families are raised. I'm just, should have my second and third life. I should be able to live life on my terms. And no matter what you say, I am not receiving it. I am not listening. So if the covert narcissist is not receptive, then that is the number one thing. If it's a powerful narcissist, in other words, they're used to barking out orders. They're not used to listening. In fact, they feel that they, by virtue of their power, their clout, their position, who they are, what they have, they are exempt from listening. And they are exempt from taking in this information. Yet when it comes to exposing them, we're really saying enough is enough, no more is now. Then you really do need to have your game together. You do need to have a strategy. You realize that there is absolutely no reason to be afraid, because when you're talking about confronting a powerful narcissist, it's oftentimes because there's a factual data. This is not something that you pulled out of a whim, out of a hat, fell from the sky. This is actual reality, things that have been done, said, or executed by this person, things that they have done, or strategies that they have played, or conned people in order to hurt or get away with their greediness. And these things are oftentimes unethical. So the fear and the dread comes from them not being receptive, not getting your word across, not getting it across in the right way. So realize that there are certain tangible facts that you need to have laid out in front of you when you go to approach this person. Because if it's just a matter of, this person, if it's just on the phone, this person can hang up. If it's a meeting, they can walk out. So you need to get an upfront contract with this person. In other words, this is going to be in person, and they are absolutely going to lay eyes on this data and then be able to negotiate, But furthermore, say, I have an agenda that I need to discuss with you. You might have yours, and we're going to, I'm just going to let you know up front that if you're going to lay out your information, I'm going to lay out my information. Is that fair? So you need to get some agreement in stating, is that fair? Because, there are certain things the narcissist, because of their feeling of power and clout, that they're going to agree to. In other words, if they feel themselves to be a fair person or a powerful person, then they are going, they would acknowledge things of this information. And so then also speaking to their ego is also, very important. A talented guy like you, a powerful guy like you, a wealthy guy or gal like you would need to hear this information. And do you agree that knowledge is power? Getting their agreement on certain statements like that, if you have to present and really expose them. You need to speak to that higher up. So you need to speak on their language, using their language back at them. And then for these people who are narcissistic, they love to be reminded of how great they are. That you've traveled all over the world, you have 5 properties, you have this fleet of employees, reminding them of the data so they feel like they're in their own skin, and they feel then you're getting them into a receptive space. Because if you're going to expose a narcissist or a psychopath who is not open, they are not open. It's going to be an exercise of futility. You're not going to get anywhere. The whole idea of discussion is they have to be open, i.e. receptive. And realize one really hard and fast quality of a narcissist or as a psychopath is the fact that they have a pathological sense of self-importance, as well as a lack of empathy. And a lack of empathy means they don't really care what you think, how you feel, what you need. That should not even be in the equation. I need this, I need that. Because they're going to say, not with me, I'm all about me. That's their operating modorandi. And so for you to bring up your needs will just even hurt the case more, because they really don't care. They have an empathy deficit. So they, any sort of gratuitous acknowledgement, you want to get into the clear lines of communication. You don't want to have, them just giving gratuitous responses. Oh yes, where then they're just, checking out. It needs to be into a point where, you're addressing, who they are, and then saying things like, yes, and then, giving them basically an ego stroke. Of course, when you're dealing with this, you're such a talented guy, you're such a wonderful singer, you're so talented with your, giving them that which they already know, and they'll feel like they're already in their own skin, because that's who they are. This is how you need to address these people. And they really only, want to work with people who are either supply or who are narcissistic like them, who can give them more narcissistic supply. And more, narcissistic strokes. And so if you're needing to confront them, realizing you have no fear, you're only dreading that they're not going to be open or receptive. So first, you have to make the position receptive so that they can look at it, attend to it. It can, to help your income, to solidify your status, for you to be best, for you to be on the cutting edge, for you to be able to maintain this and this. There needs to be a preface to how you're going to present your information, and it needs to actually be in the written form. And then you're going to parlay it, but you need to, there needs to be a way to get a narcissist receptive, which oftentimes you cannot even have a general heart-to-heart, brain-to-brain, toe-to-toe conversation with these people, because they're so up in their illusory world that they're just skating by. I mean, they they're not very receptive to interactions or discourse with others unless it's meant to make them look good. The musician, only wants to interact with other musicians. Groupies, they're dispensable. So if you want to make sure that when you speak with them that you're into, you don't have to puff up yourself, but you have to realize that how these narcissists need to be addressed and spoken to, even though it's false and you might be sick of catering to this facade, which is just a facade, and the truth, but they're expecting you as a good supply person to keep your mouth shut with regards to what was less than good behavior from them. In other words, you're just meant to overlook that this is just part of their whole package and to keep playing the illusion. And that's really why people eventually, they get very disgusted with narcissistic relationships, because they're sick of playing the game. They're sick of speaking to the lie. They're sick of upholding the lie. They want a real life. They want truth to prevail. So, looking at, their adherence to what they are all about. So, knowing your adherence to numbers, knowing your adherence to travel, knowing your strict attention to. So finding out what's really intense about them, and then parlaying what you have to do in that information. And it's not that I think that you would like to hear this. Knowing your adherence to this would, here is this information. In other words, it's not, you want to keep all of your opinion, it has to be all about them whenever you confront a narcissist. And, the fear is that, yourself will become involved and that they will not hear. So really there's nothing to dread. There's nothing to really fear. It's just a matter of having your strategy and knowing who you're dealing with. You're dealing with someone who has a pathological sense of self-importance. And it's just fanning their flames, fanning how good it is, and knowing that they adhere, to their status, knowing that, you adhere to and would not detract from your status. Things of that nature which help to prop them up. And we can have more discussions about this if you as the viewership have questions. And, knowing your proclivity to collecting things, or knowing your proclivity, isn't that fair to say you're one of the best of the best? Isn't that fair to say that you're a prodigy? And so using words like this, which are going to speak to that higher status level with them. And then if you do need to expose them, in other words, to confront them, saying that this, I cannot go on any longer. I cannot participate in this. And then so furthermore, you can say, you're absolutely entitled to your status lifestyle or your decisions or your strategies or the way that you're doing things. But we can't, argue or change the facts. They can have their opinion, in how they conduct and live their life illusory. But one thing you cannot argue is the facts. Facts are facts. And whether, you're showing them an ugly side of themselves, which they will do anything at all costs to not know the ugly, but you need to maybe bring this up to them, the fact that they've mistreated you, exploited you, sexually abused, yelled, criticized, you're sick of being, the end of their punching bag, it's just, and you're out of here. You're no longer the punching bag. You're no longer signing up for another semester, another year, another decade of this. You're breaking free. You're reformatting your life. You're deprogramming all that and then you're going forward with a new constructed you based on your values, which can be aired out and breathed and supported. You need to then address that. And sometimes it can be short and sweet, laying down the facts. You're entitled to your opinion, how you treat people, and you don't want to get defensive and defensive and justifying yourself. I need this. They don't care. They will. It doesn't mean anything to them. So you just, even though you feel it, you don't need or want to bring it up. And then laying forth, you're entitled to your opinions, your strategy, how you treat people, but you're not entitled to changing the facts. And then laying in your information. this, and they cannot psychologically escape from that. And you need to have it written down so that it's not up to them listening to your words, that they're used to receiving it in the manner in which they like it. Because when you're dealing with or confronting a psychopath, you need to deal it in the way that they like it. So or the way that they need it. So whether it's big and dramatic or loud or I'm so sick, that can be very cathartic for the person. And, we have dealt with other videos on how to confront these types of people. And, you're going no contact is the most powerful decision you can make. Because right there, you're resolving everything. I mean, you're going in, you're adhering to closure, and you're solidifying and helping those wounds heal rather than re-wound those areas and constantly trigger it. So you're not going to have a sense of closure. Oh, yeah, let's shake hands. Yeah, you're right. It's not going to happen. If you wanted that to be the case, well, you better have another want, because you're just going to be disappointed. Your actions will speak louder than words, whether it's resigning, moving, divorcing, going no contact, starting a life, and then shining vibrantly on your own can be, but maybe you just want them to know that you know. I mean, that happens. I've had a number of clients who with psychopaths who absolutely have positively needed to confront them and say, I'm so sick of living this lie. I mean, and they needed to cathart it out and yell it out. For them, the psychopath, they're just going to hear, rah, rah, rah. I mean, they're literally not going to hear anything. They don't have the emotional processing to do that. So realize who you're dealing with. You're not dealing with someone who processes emotions, values, beliefs, integrity the way that most people do. So that should help relieve the fear. Knowing that you're dealing with a different type of person should help alleviate the fear. And just the fear, the dread is just feeling like that you're going to be shaking, or that it's contradicting your life, or that you're feeling that you have admitted some mistake. The fear oftentimes can be that I let this go for so long and that I am only now dealing with it. So they do have a high level of predictability. Knowing that they're going to carry on their life. Chances are they're going to do what they've done to others, and they're just going to cycle through people. They have no problem. They have no moral qualms. So it is having it in writing, and then just boom, boom, boom. If it's bullet points that you need to address, confront them. I mean, it's not something you should be reading, but you should be handing them, and then you should know yourself, 3 to 5 statements that, have been completely inexcusable and intolerable, and you are now going to prosecute this. Or, you don't need to tell them everything. In fact, it's just the actions that you take which will speak the loudest. So don't feel like you have to get caught up in explaining and justifying yourself, because that means that they're still winning. They're still in charge. You are the one in charge. You are the one who can see things clearly. You have a moral obligation. You have it within yourself. Whatever this person is, it doesn't matter. Everything exists within you. No matter what this person does, don't try to control. Just know, don't try to control. They're going to yell. They're going to ditch out. Don't try to, but control for the variables so that you will create a receptive, at least area where they'll know, and then boom, clean cut break, crystal clear cut break, where it's just sawed off, boom, done. You're hammering the nail into the wood, the penny nail, whatever it is, boom, one, shot in, and you're done. And when you're done, you're done. You hold your head up and you walk away. You can do this. You've got what it takes. You've got enough courage and energy. It's kind of a little bit rumbly because it's afraid of the uncertain. Don't worry about, there is no uncertainty. Take and hold on to the certainty, which is you. People have a certain degree of uncertainty and risk and fun, but they definitely have a need for certainty. So when you approach this, you should have absolutely 100% certainty. 100%, unequivocally, no doubt. And you can do this in a peaceful, relaxed body, peaceful and relaxed and intense. It doesn't mean you have to be yelling, screaming, beside yourself. The best body is a peaceful, relaxed body. That's where your personal power resides. Everybody thinks personal power resides in, every dancing with the stars or, whatever, flashy this, flashy that. It's actually a peaceful, relaxed body where your mind, body, and spirit are congruent. You're calm, and you're just taking step by step by step. You are delivering. And regardless of what happens out there, just focus on yourself. You're the only one who matters here. Isn't that great? Isn't that a relief to know you're the only one who matters in this situation? Having control over you, that's your only job. You don't have to be responsible for the happiness or evolution of a narcissist person or a psychopath who will just, take you for mincemeat. I mean, isn't it time to say no, no to mincemeat, no to supply? Been there, done that, got the t-shirt, we are done. So, no fear. You've got this. You're writing your own action steps, and you're seeing clearly what you need and what you want. And when it's what you need and want, it becomes more pleasurable because you can see the outcome that you want. You have to get in touch with what you want, how you perform, how this is going to change things for the better. You have to keep your eye on focus on how this is going to change things for the better. And, they're going to, if they act stupid, dumb, I don't get this, then, just say, well, then let me break it down for you until they do get it. Let me break it down for you. Let me break it down for you. Let me serve you, narcissists. Let me, you're the narcissist. You're the king or queen. Let me, let me give you the, these bite-sized pieces. If they're so raging, if they're so adamant that they have done nothing wrong and they're very fighting and caustic, just no fight. I mean, just walk away. You do not need more struggle, battle, to, spar with these people. You need to get things very objective and get out of that subjective. The narcissist can become very subjective, and narcissistic rage basically just is fired up or triggered when they do not look good. And of course, it's going to be your fault. I mean, it has nothing to do with them and their insecurity and the fact that they can't control themselves. It has everything to do with you did this, you did that. It's the old blame shifting. I mean, they cannot oftentimes control their emotions. They're constantly under pressure. And so your goal as an independent person is to not live under that pressure, to not live under that lie, to not be pressured into feeling that way. There is no pressure. You don't have pressure written on a poster on the wall, do you? I mean, do you have pressure written in your bathroom? Where are you getting this pressure from? That is theirs. That's their energy. You need to disidentify with that and then re-identify with yourself, which oftentimes maybe it's been a long time since you've been able to do that. But absolutely positively, you can do that. It has to be done. Oftentimes it is very hurtful. It is very scary. And you feel like, why me? Why do I have to pay the price for someone else's wrongs? Well, it's time to stop that. Put a nail in it. Put a rock in it. It's time to say that, the end of the trail is here. You put a big boulder there. Don't go there. The rest is dangerous. You can lose your footholding really quick. Let's chart a more scenic route. Let's communicate what needs to be communicated. Other than that, zero, zip, nada. Save your energy, save your breath, save your energy, save your smile. For someone who gets it, who appreciates it, even being alone and doing nothing will help you, than just continuing to feeding into their life of mediocrity, struggle, and yelling and condemnation, blame, belittling, and all that racket. It's your senses have received enough of that racket. You don't need that to be happy, to be fulfilled. If that's the racket that they're going to cause for shock and awe, by all means, go for it. It doesn't, I'm not missing it. I'm not missing anything. It doesn't make me less of a person. In fact, now I have the energy within to focus on that which I want, which they're not validating. I have to be an army of one. Maybe then you'll become an army of two, an army of three, and down the road, you have got this, secure. You'll have no doubt. So have no doubt with what you need to do, and find that faith and security within yourself, and do it from a peaceful, relaxed body, where you're delivering the message, clean cut, boom, done. It's if you can get it done under 30 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, have a time frame, and just know, and then walk with your head held high, and you will feel energized. You might feel very amped up, angry, resentful. but that it's because your nervous system is processing it and trying to get it out of the system. And pretty soon it will, and you'll be able to face life again. And the better part of life will be able to face you, because you're now have gotten through all that gunk and toxicity and anguish out of your system. So now you're just living in a peaceful, resolved, happy body that knows its purpose. You know your life purpose. You know what makes you tick. You no longer have to do what doesn't make you tick to please people. You can go on and know that you know, and have that absolute certainty and that recovery and wholeness within, where you can really walk with humility, humbleness, and grace and gratitude, and know that you feel amazing because you did what you thought was the impossible. You pulled it off. You've got this. It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.